Did you know that our conflicts and our anger, the people we're angry with, the people we're in conflict with, did you know that they're actually our master? They become our master. And the reason for this is because our anger and our conflict is actually an addiction. And we individually, many of us watching this video even, individually and also as a society, as a nation, we are addicted to conflict. And in this video, I want to talk to you about why you personally, watching this video, need to become conscious about your addiction to conflict. And I also want to give you a specific solution of what to do about it. Because as we go, us individually, as we go, so goes our society, so goes our nation. So don't miss this video. I want you to listen closely. This video could contain the key that you've been waiting for to help you take the next step into your liberation. Hi, my name is Jamal Javanji. I'm a life coach by profession. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Free to Love Coaching Solutions, LLC. I'm the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Living for a Living. And I'm super happy that you decided to watch this video, that you decided to be here. Welcome to this community. It's an honor to have you. And I want to really speak about our addiction today, our addiction to conflict. We are really addicted as a nation. And a nation is simply comprised of people, of individuals. And so national consciousness reflects individual consciousness. So I'm talking not just to a random group of people today, I'm actually talking to each one of us. And I speak for myself personally and also to you personally, that individual consciousness is really the key to changing our society, changing our nation, and actually changing our world. We try to change the world so often, right? We try to change the nation so often, but you cannot change that which you are unwilling to change yourself. Does that make sense? So think about conflict for a moment and anger. First of all, anger is a human emotion. It's a very important emotion. It's not a bad emotion at all. It's actually a very important emotion to feel. But the anger that you feel and the people you are in conflict with, if you'll notice, and I know that you've noticed this, they kind of take over your life. How do they take over your life? Well, they take over your focus. And when they take over your focus, they take over your mind. So your focus, where focus goes, energy flows. You begin to empower your mind to focus on a specific person, situation that you feel powerless about. That's the key here, right? And the more you focus on that which you have no power over, and by the way, you have no power over other people. Believe it, I don't care how strong you may think you are, how powerful you think you are, no matter how powerful you think you are, you never control other people. You never do. Because other people can make decisions and take actions on their own, right? So you don't ever have power or control over other people, but the more you focus on the situations that you feel powerless about, the people you feel powerless over, the more you focus there, the more your focus gets shifted away from you. And when your focus gets shifted away from you, you don't have any power, because the power, your power, our power, only exists in one place, and that is actually within us. So, people who are hyper fixated on other people and situations, countries, however it may be, they end up losing their power, even though it's the very thing they want, is to have power. They end up losing their power. They end up being controlled by those other people or situations or nations. Like, I want you to think about the person that has hurt you or is currently hurting you. I want you to think about the person who is so frustrating to you, right? The person that has really injured you in some way. Can you see how the more you focus on them and the more you focus on that conflict, the less powerful you become, the more agitated you become, and even the more reactive and sometimes even violent. You become aggressive. You become a different person. Have you noticed that? That you become the very thing that you don't want to become. Have you noticed this? A teacher, a mentor of mine many years ago said that which we oppose, we become. what you're against, you end up becoming. If you look at history, you'll see this over and over and over, right? The oppressed people end up becoming the oppressors. We've seen it so many times. That which you oppose, you end up becoming. And that's not something any of us want to do because, again, if you are in control of your life and if you are a free person, you would never choose to become the very thing that you are against. None of us would choose that, right? That's why we're against those situations or those people or those countries, whatever it may be. Why would we choose to become that? But that's exactly what happens if we don't address the root of our conflict. And the root of our conflict is never outside of us. It's never in the other person. It's always within us. This is not meant to be a message that judges us. It's actually meant to be a message that liberates us, right? It's not your fault that you're in conflict with this other person, but the solution is within you. It has everything to do with you. Now, as I speak, right, we just a couple of days ago, as of this recording, our nation decided to preemptively attack another country, right? The United States, we as Americans have decided to attack the nation of Iran. And I want to talk about it without getting into the who's right and who's wrong and who's the bad person, who's the good person, right? The political messaging and all of this kind of thing. That's not what the purpose of this video is. The purpose of this video is to look very closely and clearly at the nature of our conflict. And if we don't understand the patterns that exist, because there's always patterns in conflict. If you look at conflict long enough, with a big enough view, a bird's eye view, you will see clear, delineated patterns. And these patterns, you can see them in your own life. If you learn to take a step out of your life and look at your own life, you will see that there are patterns, very specific patterns to your own conflicts, to your own issues, to your own limitations when it comes to interpersonal relationships or getting along with people or having close, intimate connections. You will see that there are patterns that show up. This happens all the time. And as a life coach, I see this, I work with this in people all the time. It's really key that we understand, recognize and understand and address the roots of our repeated patterns that keep coming up in our life. Because you cannot move ahead in life, you cannot evolve or advance as a person or as a society or as a nation if we keep repeating patterns over and over. Right? I always tell this to my coaching clients. I say, if you want to create a new life, you have to stop playing the record, right? If you want to listen to live music, you will never hear live music on a record. You know, those old vinyl records, right? If you put the needle on the record, you will never hear a new song because there's only the same songs that have been recorded on that record, right? And in many ways, our mind and our body is a record. And this record just keeps doing the same thing over and over until we get conscious of it, until we heal the roots of it. And that is the work we're all here to do. Then the pattern, the record, so to speak, stops playing. So where am I going with this? I want us to look at specifically, I want us to look at the conflict we're currently having as a nation, right? Because it's such a poignant example of our addiction to conflict. Now, conflict is an addiction. Being consistently angry and rageful is an addiction. And remember what an addiction is, right? At the end of the day, what is an addiction? All an addiction is, right, is it is a distraction. It's something we have outsourced so we don't deal with the roots of what we're feeling. That's all an addiction is. It's the thing that distracts me or that takes me away from the roots of my own bondage. That's it. That's all an addiction is, right? You can be addicted to a lot of things. Some of those things could be good, food, sex. But anger and conflict is a major addiction because your nervous system is dysregulated. And the best way you're trying to regulate it, right, is by going to war or attacking out here because we feel threatened in here. But here's the rule, the number one rule of energy. I say this often in my videos and I say this often to folks I work with. And this is Energy 101. That which you resist will persist. And this is why the thing that you oppose ends up controlling you and becoming your master. That which you resist persists. This is true of you and the thing you're resisting. Don't try to apply it to the thing that you're resisting. Apply it to yourself. If you're in resistance to something, right? Forget the fact that they may be in resistance to you too as well. That's for them. For you, if you're in resistance to somebody, something, some nation, they become your master because, again, what you resist persists. Now, in our current conflict, just a little bit of history, because first of all, it's very important that you know your own individual history, and it's very important that you know history from a national standpoint, a global standpoint, if we're going to understand and get free of our addiction to conflict. It's very important that we start to understand history. And history is patterns, right? We have them as individuals and we have them as nations. You have history, you have patterns. Our nation has history, our nation has patterns. And we need to see it very clearly, and we need to see where we have been participating in perpetuating conflict. So let's go to Iran for a moment. Our current preemptive war, we decided to go to war. We decided as a nation to go to war and attack another country. Now, why? Okay, we may say, there are a lot of arguments that are out there about, well, this country's dangerous, Iran's dangerous, they have nuclear weapons, they have this. Okay, aside from that, because that's a whole other conversation. Aside from that, this did not happen in a vacuum. This conflict did not happen in a vacuum. Do you know how the conflict happened? I want to tell you so we can be completely aware of how this is an example of how fear in a dysregulated nervous system contributes to conflict. Okay? It's a great example of this. In the 1950s, you got to remember World War II had just finished. 1945, that war was over. And the United States and the Soviet Union were beginning to oppose each other. And we were afraid, we had a lot of fear as a nation of losing influence, right? Because there was a competition between the United States and the Soviet Union about winning other countries to their own side of things, right? In the 1950s, Iran had a democratically elected government. The people of Iran elected a man by the name of Mohammad Mossadegh. And Mohammad Mossadegh became prime minister of Iran. And he was the democratically elected leader. And Mohammad Mossadegh decided that he wanted to go a more socialist route with the country. So Iran, as you know, has a lot of oil reserves, which are very, very important to the world energy supply. And he decided that he wanted to nationalize those because he's the prime minister of Iran, and he thought it was in Iran's best interest that the government of Iran own those oil fields, and then they would distribute the wealth to the people, through the government. And that was, what his right as the leader of the country, and that's what they wanted to do. Well, the United States and England specifically had a different idea, that they also wanted access to that oil because it was very important in our global positioning, especially against the Soviets. And we wanted to have access to that oil. So American and British oil companies wanted to lease Iranian oil. And Mohammad Mossadegh, the prime minister, said, no, this is Iranian oil. It belongs to the Iranian people, and we're going to manage that as the government. So the Soviets kind of came in and told Mohammad Mossadegh that that's your right, you're allowed to do that, and don't listen to the Americans. And so they started to kind of look to the Soviets for protection. And the United States, we felt scared. We felt like, oh my goodness, here's the Soviets, they're going to come in and kind of control that area, control those resources. So we felt threatened, felt scared. Again, fear is always behind conflict. Fear is always, whether it's an individual conflict or a national conflict, fear is always behind that. And when you make decisions from fear, and you can probably attest to this as a person, right? We've all done it. When you make decisions from fear, it makes the problem worse, not better. It ends up cascading into unforeseen situations. It's a reaction. Whenever you start making fear-based decisions, nothing good comes from that. So the United States and Great Britain made a fear-based decision in the 1950s. They sent in the CIA and the MI6 to overthrow the democratically elected government of Iran. They caused a coup d'etat and a revolution, and they overthrew the government. And then the United States decided that they knew who should be the leader of Iran. Even though Mohammad Mossadegh was the democratically elected leader, the United States helped install a king. They call it the Shah of Iran. It was like a royal figure, had some ties to the past in Iran. And they installed a monarch, basically. Even though the United States became independent from a monarch and really valued freedom and democracy, the United States overthrew the democratically elected government because of fear, because they didn't think that they could control this person, Mohammad Mossadegh. They overthrew him, put in their own government, the Shah of Iran. And the Shah of Iran became the king, and he ruled over the Iranian people starting in the 50s. And the Shah reigned for a couple of decades until the 1970s, and the Shah became very oppressive. He was threatened by the religious majority of the Iranian people were Shia Muslims, and he suppressed them and really ruled with an iron fist because he was afraid of losing power. So he became very, very despotic in his rule. And this created, again, what you resist persists, right? He resisted the Shiite Muslim religion in his country, and the Shiite Muslims in Iran decided that they had enough of that, and they overthrew him in 1979, and there was a revolution. And this revolution, they installed in an Islamic Republic of Iran that we have till today. And this government was very angry with Americans for overthrowing their government and meddling in there. And so they began to be very hostile. And then the Shah of Iran came to the United States. That's a whole other story. And they wanted him back to stand trial for his crimes against the people. And this is how this is how it happened. So we overthrew their democratically elected government. We put in a puppet government, and then the puppet government got overthrown by the people. And now that government is in power today. That is, we are convinced that is the problem, and that they need to be overthrown because of democracy. Because the current government, the West claims that the current government of Iran is not democratic and is very oppressive. But the current government that is in Iran right now is only there as a reaction to the very oppressive government we installed. And we installed that government because we overthrew their democratically elected government in the 1950s. See how this works? Action has consequences. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So this keeps happening. Now we're at war again with Iran in 2026 because of the actions actually that we undertook in the 1950s. And we just keep meddling, keep opposing. We're addicted to conflict. And now, as we speak, many people are dying. American service personnel are dying. People on the ground in Iran and in the Middle East region are dying as a result of our actions dating back to the 1950s. And our refusal as a society and as a nation to take radical responsibility for our part in that is why it continues. So is this about geopolitics and national conflict, or is this about you? Is this actually about you and me? This goes all the way back to the individual. Until we start doing the same thing, right? Taking radical responsibility for our actions, understanding that our addiction to conflict is largely a result of our fear. Whether you're in a conflict with a person that you're working with, whether you're in conflict with a family member, whether you're in conflict with society, however it is, it's because you do not know your own power and your own strength. Because here's the good news. If we understood how powerful we are, not because of our ability to have conflict and fight and war and to kill other people or to oppose other people, that's not what makes us strong. What makes us strong is that we all have the ability to turn inward and to focus on our response from a place of security, love, and abundance. And those states of being, security, love, abundance, your own personal power, those can be found only when we as individuals learn to navigate and regulate our nervous system. Because believe it or not, if you're waiting for the world to change, if you're waiting for other people to change, if you're waiting for the perfect situation to arise before you learn to feel inherently safe, inherently enough, inherently powerful, inherently abundant. If you're waiting for the world to change before you feel that, when do you think you're going to feel it? I got news for you. Never. And this just perpetuates conflict after conflict after conflict. And this is why we don't experience peace in our own individual lives. This is why we don't experience abundance in our own individual lives. Not because the world's not right. It's because we haven't learned to access those states of being internally. This is true individually. This is also true as a nation, as a society. We're only going to succeed when we regulate our own individual consciousness and nervous system, when we start healing the roots of why we feel so afraid all the time, right? Because when we heal the roots of that, we can learn to tap in and to access our own power. And that is the work I do as a life coach. And I'm biased, but I have seen so many people be so disempowered for so many years of their life. And when they learn to do this work, they become very empowered. They learn to access their life. They learn to actually start moving into their dreams. They start to experience the peace and abundance they've always wanted to experience. I could tell you story after story of people that I've worked with personally that have learned, when they stopped waiting for the world to change and situations to change, when they learned to start regulating their own internal nervous system and start realizing why they were participating and perpetuating these patterns, that's when their life changed. And then the world around them changed. It's an amazing thing. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about my 90-day program where you can literally begin to heal your addiction to conflict, your addiction to patterns that are limiting you in your life. I have a 90-day one-to-one coaching program that many have benefited from, and you can hear a little bit more about it here.
I just wasn't sleeping anymore. I felt like I was stuck. I could not stay motivated, and it was hard to focus. I tried self-help books, therapy. I even took a vacation, and nothing helped. And then I found a personal coaching system that gave me back my life. Hi, Jamal.
What she discovered is the energy acquisition system developed by Jamal Javanji, a globally recognized coach featured on Fox Network, Newsmax TV, and an Amazon best-selling author with over 100 podcast episodes guiding listeners and transforming men and women worldwide.
My 90-day coaching system is for anyone looking for a renewed sense of vitality and well-being.
I haven't felt this alive in years. Jamal changed that.
Don't just wait for a change. Do something about it. Book your session with Jamal today.
Your breakthrough begins the moment you say, yes, I'm ready for change. Hit the button below and let's get started. Okay, so don't be shy. If that program sounded at all remotely like it could be of benefit to you, you may not know. I encourage you, right below this video is a link. Go to my website. There's testimonials of folks that have worked with me in the past. You get to hear a little bit more about that 90-day program. There's a link at the bottom of that page where you can schedule your own free consultation call. And somebody, myself or somebody else, will actually have a conversation with you and hear a little bit more about you and hear a little bit more about this 90-day program. And you can determine whether or not this is actually your path forward. But your life is too important to just keep continuing these patterns. Does that make sense? And I hope this video has been encouraging for you. I would love to hear in the comment section specifically what stuck out to you from what I shared today. What was informative to you? What has helped you? We always love to hear that. Please put that in the comment section. And if you like the video, it really helps. One way you can give back and support this channel and this work that I'm doing is you can click like on the video and subscribe to the channel. This really helps this video get out to more people, okay? Thanks for being here, and I look forward to talking with you again on the next video.